So you may be wondering, why am I wearing all of these medals, right? Why am I wearing so many medals? Firstly, because I'm a winner. So winners, we have to wear medals, right? It's a badge of honor. But speaking of badge of honor, look at this poxy, puny little badge that we received from completing the gym race. I think it's focused. But you know what? I shouldn't call it that. But honestly, I completed the gym race. I got it done, finished, completed, ticked off the bucket list, right? And I didn't even get a medal. They gave me this little badge, this this little badge here. And I was like, is that it? After the money, firstly, we spent to even do it. And then you're thinking, you know what, it would be nice to get a medal to showcase our efforts, but we got a little badge instead. But nevertheless, it's complete, it's done, and we're here now, flexing with my medals. But to be fair, they're quite heavy. Let me take them off. Mm. But the reason why I wanted to do this video today is because I wrote a piece on my Substack talking about what Gym Race taught me about, building a profitable brand, right? And for me, I'm always involved in these particular sort of sporting competitions or sort of races because for me, I feel that it makes me a lot more determined to hit my goals. It makes me feel that if I can complete these particular things and I can work towards doing something that is so hard, then everything else, when it comes down to doing the thing, becomes a lot more easier, right? From a business perspective, from a health and wellness perspective, from all areas of your life, I believe that doing these particular sort of challenges and really challenging yourself in order to become the best version of yourself for you to just continue to hit new heights, for me, is the reason why I do all these particular things. And that's why I enjoy it. And that's why I really align it in terms of what it can do for your brand and how you're able to build your brand. So I wrote a piece just talking about these sort of 6 lessons that I learned in the process of doing the race and how it applies to the idea of building a brand. So before I get started, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And first and foremost, apologies. My name is Tariq Peters. I'm a brand authority strategist and I'm an accredited PR practitioner. In my previous videos, I haven't even mentioned that and I have no idea why, but yes, I work with founder-led B2B experts to help them build a level of brand authority, which is their personal brand multiplied by their business brand, multiplied by their campaign brand. And when you bring all those 3 brands together, that gives you a level of brand authority that makes you more visible and credible to your desired target audience, which will ultimately allow you to have more leads and more clients and more revenue for your business, right? So if you are interested in all things personal branding, PR, marketing, brand authority, all that good stuff, then please make sure that you subscribe and let's just get straight into the video. What I'm going to do first, just for context, right? I'm going to share the screen for the gym race so I can actually show you what I put myself through before we even get started. So let me share my screen. So, gym race, let me go through what we actually went through real quick. So, we started first and foremost, and then we did a 1 kilometer run, a 50-meter sled push, and then the 100 wall balls. And after that, we had to do another run. And then following that, we done the 100-meter slam ball carry, and then the 1,000-meter row. And then following that, we went and done another run. Then we went and done 100 kettlebell swings to overhead, and then the 1,000-meter ski, and then another run. And then 100 meters dumbbell farmers lunges, and then 2,000 meters on a bike. And you guessed it, another 1 kilometer run. And then we did 50 meters burpees, burpee broad jumps, followed by the last final sprint. And then we finished, right? So I did this with my dad as well, and it was a good. Me and him, we always do these events as well, and I really do appreciate that I get the opportunity to do these things with my dad as well because he teaches me a lot about that sort of don't quit mentality and to really just remain focused and diligent in your pursuit of success as well. So I owe a lot of that sort of mindset to him as well. But that's a story for another day. I digress. So let me share my screen actually, and then we can get straight into it, right? So what Gym Race taught me about building a profitable brand. And I'm going to include the actual link to my Substack in the pinned comments. So if you are interested in checking it out, then please feel free to subscribe on the Substack as well as subscribing on here as well. I'm not going to read through everything. I'm just going to kind of pick out a set of bits to discuss and walk through, and then just go through the lessons that I've learned in the process as well. So, yeah, a small Velcro badge. But the first lesson, and here's me flexing as well, and proof of concept. If you watch my previous video, that's what it's all about, proof of concept. So, lesson one, it's a hard road, but you adapt if you keep at it, right? And for me, that really aligns with the whole idea of when it comes down to building a brand. Building a brand is hard. It's not easy. Everyone has a brand. We know that. Not everyone is taking their time to nurture their brand and to build a brand and take it to new heights, right? And when you decide ultimately that that is going to be the thing that you do, it does become a very hard process, right? But the more that you do it and the more that you focus on the thing that is particularly hard at the time, the easier that it gets. And I'm not going to say that it becomes super easy where everything is like clockwork, because it's not. However, it does allow you to be a lot more flexible in your approach, and you find it less daunting to do or less intimidating, or a couple of the things that you have been able to do, you have been able to now systemize the approach of you building your brand, right? And when you get to that point of being adaptable at that particular stage, it makes it a lot more easier for you to stay the course. Because I suppose that's the reason why many people, when it comes down to building brands, they may not necessarily last the sort of duration of what it takes and what it means in order to build a brand. Building a brand is a lifelong effort, if we're going to keep it real in this video. You work on it every single day, right? And that's you really formalizing your brand in this world in the way that you see fit and the way that you want to do it. And that's the reason why, for me, that was a particularly interesting lesson that I wanted to share as well, because if you keep at it, you will become more adaptable. And the more adaptable you become, the more easier it is for you to align with various different things that come your way when it comes down to brand building as well. So that's the first lesson I would say. And like I said, feel free to go through it as well. I'm just giving you guys the whistle stop tour based on this as well. Lesson two, you're not supposed to do this alone, right? So as I said, I did the race with my dad as well. And, you know, for me, I'm more sort of strength, brawn, all that sort of stuff. So some of the sort of roles that required me to just do a bit more heavy pushing or the lunges or any of those particular things, or more explosive sort of moves, that was my remit. That was the things that I preferred and I was good at. Some of these long endurance stuff, I left that to my dad, right? I was just, nah, that's not for me. That's not my lane. And when you think of the idea that you're not supposed to do this alone, that applies to your brand as well. Your whole idea of building a brand, especially a revenue generating brand or profitable brand at that, is you can't do it by yourself. You are not meant to do it by yourself, because you have to treat your brand, especially if you're looking to make money from your brand, right? You're looking to make a profit, you're looking to drive revenue. It is in your best interest to treat it like a business. And when you treat it like a business, you need to align yourself with like minded people in various different fields that can help you make these things real, right? These are the people that you should have in your team that are able to expand and broaden your brand in a way that makes it more lucrative. And you're not in a position where you can do that yourself, especially if you are a founder who was already working on building their business as well. And you're having sort of a tough time balancing the two and knowing that you need to also work on building your brand as well as your business as well. Those things require a lot of delegation and outsourcing in a way that makes the most sense if you want to see success from it. And that's what I mean. You can't do it by yourself, because if you could, then it would be a lot more easier to get there. But through the process of that, you're not going to have all the relevant and necessary skills in order for you to get from A to B. You need the support where you can, and especially in areas where you may particularly fall shorter on, or that isn't within your criteria or within your lane, let's call it. You need to ensure that you have people on your side, on your team, that is able to pick up on the things that you find particularly not ideal for you in terms of your workload and in terms of your sort of skills and strengths, right? And with you doing that, that's the main idea of doing that in a way that makes it revenue generating, because you focus on the things that you know that your strengths lie, where you can benefit the most at, and then you have a team that can allocate correctly in terms of being able to put you out in the best way possible, right? So that's the reason why I said for lesson two, you're not supposed to do this alone. And although there was a few people that was going through the actual process alone, the majority of us was doubled up and teamed up with someone else in terms of getting the task done. So with that, I felt that that was a valuable lesson for me in the process as well. And then lesson three, manage your pace or you won't last. So for me, I was sort of in the middle of running, walking, pace walking, all that stuff. When I went through the first set of exercises, my legs were finished. I thought that I pulled a muscle. I thought I pulled a muscle, and I was just like, you know what, this is crazy. But then with that, I took my time, and I had no intention of not finishing the race. I was never not going to finish the race. But for me, it also allowed me to understand and realize the importance of managing your pace. And that aligns a lot with the idea of your brand, right? That sustainability element. How are you ensuring that you're able to manage the elements of building your brand in a sustainable way that allows you to get it done without you thinking like you're overdoing it, or you're overexerting yourself, or you're bringing yourself closer to burnout, right? And like I've done videos on this over and over again when it comes down to burnout, but I'm not going to go down that route. But what I will say is that you need to focus on your minimum standard when it comes down to putting out content. If it's a case where you feel like you can, for YouTube, for example, if you feel you can put out content once a week, then focus on once a week. If you can do bi-weekly, then do bi-weekly. If you feel like you can only do monthly based on your commitments, do monthly. The only thing is that you need to ensure that once you stick with your routine, then you carry it throughout the whole process, because you want to start to become something that people start to look forward to. It's something that they always bear in mind, that this person's going to be posting said content, or they're going to be uploading a video talking about this particular sort of topic within this particular time frame, right? If they have a frequency idea of how often you put content out, then rest assured that that is a more effective way where people are able to attach to you. They're able to now understand what you do, who you are, your expertise, and then from that, you're able to then push forward from there. But with that, I would say that you need to have a sustainable approach. And yes, of course, where there'll be days where you're sort of a lot is going on, you may not necessarily have the capacity to keep going with that. But that's the whole point of like the stuff that I do with bulk recording content, with having content that I know that I can repurpose and reuse and redistribute it in a way that looks completely fresh and new for my audience or anyone who's watching my content. But that being said, I've already took the time to make those things happen and delegate to the team members who are able to position it in a way that makes the most sense, where I can then pull it out, right? So with that, rest is important when it comes down to building any business, never mind a brand. But then with that, you need to ensure that you sort of have your ideas in check, and you have a sort of minimum standard approach when it comes down to putting out content in a consistent way. So that's lesson three. And then hold on, I missed lesson four. Where's lesson four? Yes, everyone is in the race, but not everyone is intentional, right? Everyone is in the race, but not everyone is intentional. And with that, for me, in the event, let's talk first. There was many people in the event, to be fair, and there was people who, as I mentioned, that was doing it by themselves. There were people that was doing it as a team. There were people from all sort of backgrounds doing it, all different fitness levels. And then also there were spectators, there were families and friends who were looking to support those who were in the race as well. So with that in mind, that made me feel or think about the idea of branding as a whole. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to branding, we're all in this game, whether we like it or not, right? And that's when it comes down to what are you doing intentionally about wanting to nurture and build your brand to the point where you are now more established and known, and you are able to then build your personal brand that aligns with your business brand, right? I speak about that a lot when it comes down to what I define as brand authority. And when you think about it like that, and then you realize that even for people who have a brand, but then they feel that they can't do said content, or they feel like it's intimidating for them, or they feel that they don't know the best way to go about it. But I suppose, other than the idea of even outsourcing and looking for that support, they choose not to do anything at all. So then effectively they're playing on the sidelines. And if you're building a brand, you don't want that. You want to be someone who is always building and refining and putting themselves out there and effectively becoming a key person of influence and the obvious choice for your market, right? So with that, it's in your best interest to understand that we're all in this game, right? It's either you're deciding to play or you're choosing not to play. But whether you like it or not, we're all in the game. You can either choose not to play and not to build and not to grow your personal brand and your business brand, or you can start to build and strategize with intention and put it in a way that will allow you to compound over time. So when it gets down to a year later or 2 years later, when you look back and you realize all of the things that you intentionally decided to do with your brand, then you're going to realize that you should have done it sooner. But like they say that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? And the next best time to do it is today. So when it comes down to building your brand, I would advise to plant that seed today if you can. If you are watching this, plant the seed today and give it the time it needs for it to grow, right? Because if you do not give it that time to nurture, to compound, then it's going to be a lot more difficult over time. And as I always mention about the personal branding deadline, the 30th of November, 2027, it is in our best interest to build a brand before that time, because by then, with the rise of AI and the use of AI and the people using AI, a lot of people are being more visible now. A lot of people are able to utilize these tools in order to post content, to post pictures, to just document their lives in a more efficient, quicker way for them. However, the level of credibility now is going to be the thing that is going to set people apart. And if you do not have that level of credibility and you're in a sea of sameness and a sea of visible people, you need to then be able to stick out like a sore thumb based on the fact that you are credible, right? And that's what I work with when I work with my clients. But if you are interested, then click in the description box down below for a clarity call, apply for that, and then let's see if we can have a conversation if I can help. But anyway, let's get back into the video. So, lesson number 5 is play to your strengths, right? Play to your strengths. And you know what? I It's funny, me and my dad, we go back and forth about this quite often. He argues that it's in our best interest to be more well-rounded in our approach as well. And the things that we are particularly not good at, we should be able to build on that and to learn how to improve on those particular things. Whereas for me, I am someone who is very much, if you are strong in this particular field, I think it is important to double down your efforts in this particular area and to not really pay much mind to the things that you are not particularly good at. And the reason for that is because you need to use your energy in the most efficient way in order to get the desired results that you are looking for. So when it comes down to that, I believe it makes the most sense to, in my opinion anyway, to outsource. Use your strengths as a way to drive the revenue in the most efficient way, and use that money to reinvest in yourself, reinvest in the business, and pay the relevant people with those particular skills that you may be lacking in a way that's able to help you build, right? I feel that is the best effective way, especially now, in order to do it. Because let's be real, there's so many sort of various tools that can get the jobs done for us now at a much more faster rate. I am rubbish at Excel, right? When it comes down to all the formulas and all that sort of stuff, right? However, with me tracking sort of like my clients and my prospects and who I'm speaking to and all that sort of stuff, I use Gemini to develop my sort of sales sheet or spreadsheet so I can track all the conversations I'm having on a weekly basis. I've done that just using AI. I didn't go through the process of even wanting to learn the formulas. To be honest with you, I didn't care about wanting to learn the formulas. All I did was prompt it correctly, and it gave me everything I needed without having to think about it twice. And I developed that within, say, 10, 20 minutes or whatever the case. Whereas before, I would have sat there trying to figure out myself, knowing I'm not particularly good at it as well. So that's that for you. So that's what I would say in terms of that. Focus on your strengths and use that as a way to bring in a team of like-minded people on the same mission as you that are able to complement the things that you may not necessarily be the strongest at, right? And then lastly, I think lesson 6, the repetition is the real test, right? And I say that the repetition is the real test because from the beginning of the video, you saw that the repetition part was the 1 kilometer run. The 1K run, each and every time we completed the section of the race, that was ultimately the next step, the next step, the next step. So for me, I would argue that repetition is the most important thing when it comes down to brand building. And yes, it may be tiresome, it may be boring, it may be long, but it is so important in order to reinforce that idea of who you are, what you do, your expertise, and to position yourself as a key person of influence and the obvious choice. With you being able to use that level of repetition across the board, there is no way that people are not going to know who you are. And if you go with that mindset every single day, right? That there's people who don't know me. So I am in a fantastic position to continue to put myself out there, to continue to post my content, to continue to repurpose my content. And I already told you about the algorithms and the tricks it can play on you. You think that you posting that one time, everyone on your sort of connection list on LinkedIn is going to see it. It's not happening. You need to be showing that level of repetition, and you also need to be utilizing that level of repetition by reaching out to those people directly that you want to be in contact with, because that is ultimately the best, most effective way to do that and to really build those relationships and to get yourself in the right strategic partnerships or even to align yourself with the right prospects and clients over time. So that's what I would advise when it comes down to that idea. But then you need to even get to a minimum standard of repetition, right? How often are you putting content out? I do this YouTube as a sort of case study for myself, but also a sort of example of what it looks like to do something a bit crazy, like one long form video a day, right? And I do that because it's to really emphasize the fact of repetition is important. And when you see it in real time and you understand what is going to happen on the basis of me doing that, then it will make a lot of sense. But then in the meantime, I would say that focus on that level of repetition and focus on how able you are, how you are able to distribute that content as frequently and as sustainably as possible, right? So that's it. That is it for this video. I completed the race. Let me share my screen again. Yes, we nailed it. We nailed it. And yeah, that was my thoughts on what the gym race meant for me and what it means and how it aligns with the idea of building a profitable brand as well. So that's that for the video. But if you enjoyed that, then please let me know in the comments. Let me know what lesson in particular that you felt was more interesting or that you felt aligned the most with you. And I'll be looking forward to hearing your thoughts as well. And like I said, I'm going to include the Substack link in the pinned comments below. So feel free to check it out and feel free to subscribe. And if you have not subscribed yet and you are interested in future videos, please do subscribe because I upload literally every single day and I will be doing so. I'm on a mission of uploading for 1,000 days, 1 day, one video, sorry, for every 1,000 days. I am 91 days in. I am 91 days in and I'm still going. I'm locked in. We got loads of work to do. But on that note, look after yourself. Peace out and I'll catch you tomorrow. Look after.